Welcome once again to Commander by Danon. Today's video is brought to us by Patreon supporter RGC. RGC wanted a no-budget, high-powered Myra deck, so that's what we're looking at today. If you're a fan of casual Commander and like to durdle around, this video is not for you. But if you like making your opponents squirm and watching as hope dies in their eyes, feel free to continue watching. Before we get started, I'd like to quickly ask you to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel, and it's free. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. Myra the Magnificent is a 4-mana, 2/4 legendary human performer. Whenever we cast an instant or sorcery spell from our hand, we open an attraction. Additionally, we may pay X and tap Myra. If we do, we exile target instant or sorcery card with mana value X or less from our graveyard, and choose an attraction we control that doesn't have a midway counter on it. We then put a midway counter on it, and, whenever we visit that attraction, we copy the exiled card. We may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. Now, this isn't the first Myra deck we've built on this channel, but the previous one was much more casual in nature. RGC wanted something high power, and what could be more high power than turns? That's right, this is a Myra Turns deck. I told you it wasn't for the faint of heart. But before we get to our deck list, we should keep in mind our checklist. 50 mana sources, usually split between 37 lands and 13 pieces of ramp, 10 pieces of card advantage, 8 to 10 pieces of spot removal, 2 to 3 board wipes, 2 pieces of graveyard hate, 1 sudden I win card. Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Scalding Tarn, Misty Rainforest, Arid Mesa, Steam Vents, Training Center, Storm-Carved Coast, Sulphur Falls, Volatile Fjord, Molten Tributary, Shivan Reef, Temple of Epiphany, Silver Bluff Bridge, Is It Guildgate, Is It Boilerworks, Prismari Campus, Swiftwater Cliffs, Highland Lake, Scavenger Grounds for Graveyard Hate, Myriad Landscape for Ramp, Evolving Wilds, and Terramorphic Expanse for color fixing, 8 islands, and 4 mountains. Jeweled Lotus, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Talisman of Creativity, Is It Signet, Mind Stone, and Coveted Jewel make up our mana rocks. For treasure generation, we've got Dockside Extortionist, Stormkiln Artist, and Brass's Bounty. Remember, Myra says we make a copy of the exiled card and then cast the copy, so Stormkiln Artist triggers twice whenever a midway attraction triggers. Galazeth Prismari and Urza Lord High Artificer turn all of our treasures and attractions into mana rocks. Primal Amulet lowers the cost of our spells. Seething Song, and Mana Geyser for rituals. And finally, the old reliable combo of Dramatic Reversal and Isochron Scepter. Consider Frantic Search, Faithless Looting, Gamble, Wheel of Fortune, and Wheel of Misfortune all do a great job of filtering through our deck and putting our big spells into the graveyard. We're also running Mystical Tutor, Mystic Remora, Brainstorm, Jeska's Will, Rhystic Study, Archmage Emeritus, and Seagate Restoration. I know that Seagate Restoration exiles itself if we cast it, but we can always put it in the graveyard with a Faithless Looting and then attach it to an attraction with Myra. An Offer You Can't Refuse, Wash Away, Counterspell, Mana Drain, Fierce Guardianship, Force of Negation, and Force of Will make up our counter magic package, while Pongify, Vandal Blast, Abrade, Prismari Command, Deflecting Swat, and Bribery make up the rest of our interaction. Cyclonic Rift, and Blasphemous Act for board wipes. Nothing fancy, just effective. Capture of Jingzhou, Time Stretch, Time Warp, Expropriate, Temporal Manipulation, and Nexus of Fate. I know it'll be hard to put Nexus of Fate under an attraction, but I'm sure RGC can do it. Besides, it's a great spell, so I was happy to include it anyway. Displacer Kitten gets up to some seriously evil shenanigans in this deck, especially with Coveted Jewel. To help us roll dice for our attractions, we've got Monitor, Pixie Guide, Vidalcan Squirrel Whacker, Will Blade of the Frontiers, and Barbarian class. Command performance helps us to open more attractions and to visit them again. Reiterate and Thousand Year Storm make all of our attractions even more gross than they already are. Expansion Explosion and Crackle with Power serve as sudden I win cards, assuming we have enough mana. But we also have a Laboratory Maniac and Jace Wielder of Mysteries, just in case. Now that we have our deck list, let's compare it to our checklist. 53 mana sources split between 37 lands, 17 pieces of ramp, and 1 MDFC. A little high, but we're looking at adding some high mana value spells to our attractions. 13 pieces of card advantage, 13 pieces of interaction, 2 board wipes, 1 piece of graveyard hate, and 2 sudden I win cards. But that's not the gross part of the deck. The truly nasty part of this deck is if we get a Thousand Year Storm on board and have 2 attractions with turn spells that suddenly trigger. If we cast one of our instants, say a Brainstorm, before the attractions trigger, that means we'll get 2 extra turns. Or 5 extra turns if both attractions trigger. At that point, I expect our opponents to simply concede the game, but we do have some stubborn people out there. Cute stuff. I do apologize for the price of this deck. I know it comes in at an absurd $1,500, which is out of the price range for most people. The most expensive parts of this deck are, of course, Wheel of Fortune, the free interaction, the capture of Jingzhou, and the Jeweled Lotus. If you cut those and put in cheaper counter magic, the deck would drop down to a much more reasonable $600. But if you have the pieces lying around, why not use them? Are you building Myra the Magnificent? Or a different commander from Unfinity? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cute Stuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, there's a link to her Fiverr page below. If you're looking for ways to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Danon. One of the tiers is specifically set up for Commander. For only $25, I will build you a custom Commander deck based around your specifications and even do a deck video on it. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons, Jiraiya, Muffins, Casey, Nick, Marcus, Black Dragon, Phoenix of Ice, Squishy, RGC, and Brett. You guys are awesome. I post new Commander deck videos often, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of new videos. Also, if you're a fan of anime and manga like I am, feel free to check out my other channel, Musings by Danon. Again, thanks for watching. I'll see you all again next time on Commander by Danon.